Hello children, how are you all? I hope you are fine and safe. I am Dakshayani, handling biology from Bharathidhasanar Matric Higher Secondary School, Arakkonam. Children, today we are going to discuss chapter 2, Kingdom Animalia in 11th standard Zoology. And in this chapter, so far we discussed about the phylums, right? Right now we discussed phylum Porifera, Platyhelminthes, Ctenophora, Cnidaria, right? Aschelminthes, and now in this session we are going to discuss about the arthropoda. What is arthropoda? Just look into this. Can you see something, children? Yes, it is the fully insects. All the insects comes under the phylum arthropoda. And now we can see some general characters of this arthropoda. First one, why it got the name arthropoda? Right? In Greek, arthros means jointed. Arthros means jointed. Poda or refers to feet or appendages. Appendages. So the organisms which possess the jointed appendages we can say as phylum arthropoda. You can see, just imagine a cockroach. You can see the from that body segments what is joined. Suppose this is the body of the cockroach. From the body we can see the legs, right, which arise in segments. So this is a best example for jointed segmentation. And when compared to other phylums, this phylum arthropoda is the largest phylum. From this they may ask, last time it was asked in public exam, children, explain the characteristic features of the largest phylum. Right, which is the largest phylum? Phylum arthropoda. And this phylum arthropoda consists of many classes, but one important class which has a more number of species is class Insecta. Class Insecta possesses nearly 2 to 10 million species. Class Insecta alone possesses 2 to 10 million species. So which is the largest phylum? Yes, very good, phylum arthropoda. And now we are going to discuss about some of the characteristic features. In that, first about the germ layers, right? What is a germ layer? Ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. These are all the germ layers. So this class arthropoda possesses the 3 germ layers. So we can call this as triploblastic. We can say it as triploblastic because it possesses how many layers? 3 germ layers. Next one, coelom. Coelom means what, children? Body cavity. Yes. Based on their body cavity, they are said to be schizocoelomate. Schizocoelomate refers, they are not formed directly from the mesoderm, but they arise from the mesodermal pouches. So schizocoelomate. And level of organization, this insects, all the insects possesses different organization. For example, it possesses, for example, take a cockroach, reproductive system, excretory system, respiratory system, circulatory system. There are varieties of systems are there. So the level of organization of the phylum arthropoda is organ system level. Organ system level of organization, right? And then jointed appendages. Just look into this picture, right? What? This is the body and you can see many appendages like legs, right? That also it appears in segments. For example, if you look into the leg, it has many segments like this, right? So these are all the jointed appendages. And now we are going to study about the exoskeleton. Just look into this picture, children. What you can see? It's an insect and its body is divisible into many segments, and it is covered by the exoskeleton. What do you mean by exoskeleton? Exo means outside. Exo means outside and skeleton, you know, bone. We have endoskeleton, we have the bony endoskeleton because bones are present inside our body. But in this exoskeleton, the skeleton is present outside the body. and it is made up of the substance called chitin. And just look into this picture, children. What is the role of exoskeleton? What is the role? Exoskeleton helps in protection. Exoskeleton helps in protection, and they protect the organisms from moisture, protection from moisture. And here two more question is there. What is ecdysis? Just look into this picture. What is there, children? Here the insect sheds off its exoskeleton and the new exoskeleton is formed. In Tamil we say it as thol urikkirathu. If you see a snake, children, it removes its skin, right? The process of shedding the skin, we call it as ecdysis or molting. So this is an image of the insect showing the ecdysis, right? So what is the question asked? What is ecdysis? Or what is the other name of ecdysis? Molting. Thol urikkirathu we say, right? And now we, like us, you can see we have a head, neck, body, right? Likewise the insect also has many, body is divisible into many segments, that is a head, thorax and the abdomen. Head, thorax and the abdomen. From the head antenna arises, and from the thorax and abdomen we can see the appendages, that is joint, legs and the wings arises from the thorax in cockroach. And now we are going to study about the respiratory organs. Respiratory organs. The various respiratory organs are, just look into this, children. It is a gills. Some insects may respire with the help of gills, and some arthropods respire with the help of the book gills. Book gills. It is a king crab, children. King crab, and it possesses the book gills for respiration. And some other respiratory organ is that some of the insect possesses the book lungs. Why we call it as a book lung? Because it is closed in the shape of the book. It is folded like this in the shape of book. Hence we call, what are the respiratory organ? Book lungs. And finally trachea. Like us, some insects also possesses trachea. So what are all the respiratory organs we discussed? Gills, book lungs and trachea. And now we are going to discuss about the circulatory system. Circulatory system. Circulatory system is the flow of blood, right? And here in arthropods, the circulatory system is said to be open. What do you mean by open, children? Open means the blood do not flow inside the blood vessels. The blood is pumped by the heart and directly it flows into the open spaces, right? This is a circulatory system of the grasshopper, and you can see from the blood vessels directly it opens. No blood vessels are there. It directly passes into the tissues. This is the circulatory system of cockroach, and one amazing fact is there, children. The cockroach has 13 chambers of heart. We have only 4 chambers, but cockroach has 14 chambers, and it is a open circulatory system. That is, the blood do not flow inside the blood vessel, and the pigment here in the blood we call it as a hemolymph because it is colorless. The blood of the insects are colorless and it flows into the cavity called as hemocoel. Just look into this, hemocoel. Okay, and now we are going to discuss about the sensory organs or sensory receptors. What do you mean by receptors, children? the structures through which we respond, we sense the environment are called as sensory receptors. For example, eyes we used to see, right? Nose for smell, hair. Likewise, insects also has some of the sense organs. That is, first one is a compound eyes. Compound eyes. Next one, antenna. Antenna is used to sense the environment, right? Vibrations can be felt through this antenna. And some of the sense organs we call it as statocyst. Statocyst, they help in balance. They maintain the organism in equilibrium. So, what are all the sense organs? Compound eye, antenna and statocyst. And now we are going to discuss some of the excretory organs. What is excretion, children? The process of eliminating waste. The process of eliminating waste, we say it as excretion. And what are all the excretory organs? First one is a Malpighian tubules. In cockroach, we can see Malpighian tubules. And the next, some other excretory organs are green glands. Green glands we can see in prawns, green glands, crustaceans, and coxal glands. Coxal gland. So, these are all the excretory organs. And now, we are going to discuss about the reproduction. The insects are dioecious. What do you mean by dioecious, children? There are separate sexes. If the sexes are separate, yes, male and female are separate, we say the organism is dioecious, and the sexual reproduction takes place and the fertilization is internal. Fertilization is internal. Internal means the fertilization takes place inside the body, right? This is the life cycle of the insects. Here we can say it develops from the egg. This is the egg sac, and in the cockroach you can see the fertilized eggs are covered by the ootheca, right? And later what happens? It hatches to produce the small cockroach. The young ones of the cockroach we call it as nymph. What we call? Nymph. That is a baby cockroach. We call it as a nymph, and finally it develops into an adult, and after reproduction it produces the eggs again. This is the life cycle of the cockroach. So, in some, mostly the development is direct. And now we are going to discuss about the examples. Palemnius. What may Palemnius? Scorpion tail. It is an example for arthropoda. Euparagus, hermit crab. Hermit crab. Musca domestica, housefly. Housefly, and then mosquitoes. They are also examples of phylum Arthropoda, but we can say them as vectors because they are responsible for spreading the disease from one person to the another person. So, we can say they contaminate the food. So, Musca domestica, that is a housefly, and mosquitoes we can categorize under the vectors. Some of the economically useful insects are, first one is honeybee, apis, honeybee, right, and silkworm. What is the use of silkworm? It is used in sericulture, right? Pattupuchi valarpu we say, sericulture. From there, by the sericulture we can obtain silk, right? And the growth of honeybees we call it as apiculture, theni valarpu, apiculture, right? Next, it is a limulus, king crab, limulus. King crab, it is an example for arthropoda, and another one example is a locust. Locust, all grasshoppers varieties, they attack the plants. So, they are termed under the locust. So, these are all the examples for insects. Children, now we are going to discuss some of the examples of phylum Arthropoda. What is this, children? Yeah, very good. It is a cockroach. And here, this is a dorsal view of a cockroach and this is the ventral view of a cockroach. You can look into this, you can see from the segments, right, many appendages arise, that is the legs, and from the head portion antenna arises. So, we classify them under the Arthropoda. And now we are going to see some other examples regarding the development, right. For example, if you take a butterfly, here you can say the development is indirect, because from the eggs it undergo the pupal stage and later it becomes a adult insect. Just look at this, children. First the eggs are there, from there what arises? Larva. Later the larva develops and it becomes pupa. After the pupal stage only it develops into the adult butterfly. So, in butterfly the development is indirect, and now we can see the one more example for direct development, that is a cockroach. Just look into this. From the eggs directly the baby cockroaches we call as nymph, right. Nymph arises, grows, and later the nymph grows and become finally the adult cockroach. So, development is direct in cockroach and development is indirect in butterfly. And now I am going to tell you some of the important facts, children. You see, a spider makes its web, right. So, if you take the steel as the same thickness of the spider's web, when compared to the steel, the spider's web is 5 times stronger. Just imagine, right. So, now we are going to discuss about the important question answers related to this topic. It is also given in your study material. I will ask you some questions, children, right. Just answer my question. Revati, which of the following have the highest number of species in nature? Yes, which phylum? Very good. And phylum is Arthropoda. Here they have given some other options: insects, birds, angiosperms and fungi. So, which is the answer? Yes, very good, insects. Salient features of Arthropoda is, what are the salient features given? Yes, Samiksha, chitinous exoskeleton and jointed appendages. Yes, very good. Malphizian tubules are, Yutika, what are Malphizian tubules? Malphizian tubules are the what organs? Respiratory or excretory? Very good, excretory organ. And omatidia, they are the units that constitute the compound eyes. Compound eyes where we can see in insects. Compound eyes are made up of units called omatidia. So, insects is the answer. And one more here, 5 mark question is asked. Explain the characteristic features of phylum Arthropoda. So, what are all the characters we discussed? We have to write step by step. So, these are all the question answers related to this topic. Okay, children, with this session comes to an end. So, with this we have attached the study material, assessment and question bank for this lesson. Go through this and practice all the scientific names along with their general names. Thank you, children. Have a nice day.